Wayne Ellington.
And it's the Nets on a road trip for this one. An interconference game today, looking for the win. Glad to have you with us for more NBA action. I'm Kevin Harlan with Clark Kellogg and Greg Anthony and Doris Burke reporting from the sidelines. Looking back to the last matchup between these two teams, it was the Clippers coming out on top against the Brooklyn Nets.
And really an emphatic win for them, especially considering that it came in an opponent's building, and there's no question it was their offense that carried them.
I love the way they went and got this game, Greg. I mean, they attacked at every opportunity, never relaxed or sat back, and as a result, they eventually pulled away.
We got a chance here to set the floor, courtesy of Gatorade, all fueled up and ready to go for this one. And Brooklyn, looking who they've got. Jarrett Jack is out there with Wayne Ellington. Then there's Johnson. Then it's Bargnani. And it's Lopez in at the center, filling out the middle.
We're seeing today what makes him one of the best free throw shooters among the league's big men. Beautiful stroke.
Ellington, the pass to Jack. Out to the wing. And it's blocked by Jordan. Passes it to Navarro. Johnson against Jordan. He feeds it to Paul. Here's Navarro. Playing Sacramento, he was nearly unstoppable. Shot clock at 2. Launches a 3. Chris Paul. That's good.
How in the world did they let him get that wide open?
The Clippers on defense. This game coming on the heels of their win against the Kings.
Their percentage from long range in that game was off the charts. Seemed like anytime the fans got a little hostile, they just started to take it up a notch from beyond.
The bombs were really falling, weren't they? I mean, great shooting, especially when you consider it was on the road. You know, one of the things I think we forget about with Chris Paul is just how clutch he is as a player. I mean, hitting the go-ahead shot in Game 7 against the Spurs last postseason was a big reminder to everyone that this guy is clutch.
Now, here is Bargnani. He had a 21-point outing in their last game against the Utah Jazz.
And he also chipped in with a couple blocks in that game. Just a hint at the impact he had on the defensive side. And it really starting to look like they're going to have one of those days where nothing goes wrong.
Well, Greg, they certainly haven't done anything wrong so far, stretching the lead into double digits already.
Hits the three-point bomb. Bargnani's got his first bucket of the game, and he's on the board for 3. And talking about Paul and his ability to come up in the clutch, that Game 7 shot when he was playing injured against San Antonio, the defending champions, turned out to be the game-winning points. Remarkable play. Remarkable series for him.
It was. You know, you could see him hobbling around out there and would have to miss games in that Rockets series, the first 2, if I recall. But that series is what Paul is really all about, Kevin. He is a competitor, first and foremost.
Ring shot on the way, and he hits the jump shot. Lopez has got his first points of the night.
Really nice way to get your first bucket of the day.
Jordan up top. Releases. And out of bounds as the Nets gain possession. Let's check out the leaders in field goal percentage as a team. The Clippers, number 1.
Kevin, I've always said shooting percentage individually and for a team is a function of the kinds of shots you get. This team leads the league in shooting percentage because 1, they have good shooters, but 2, they take high-quality shots. They're a very disciplined group.
Knocked loose.
And you really thought that was going to be a gimme, but unable to convert.
Yeah, and a little self-talk, angry self-talk for himself after that miss.
And there are more points tacked on here to the early lead.
And it's a nice lead as well. I mean, it's no mystery how they've done it. They're attacking the basket.
And the first timeout called of the game for Brooklyn. They put up a nice win against Utah last time out.
And Kevin, you know, they showed how important it is to have a strong bench. I mean, when you are on the road, that depth is vital. I think they really utilized the second unit to extend their offensive assault and just really wore down their opponent.
And guys, I think what you saw from them throughout the game was teamwork. This is a team. regardless of who was out there on the floor at any given time, they got it done. And that has to make you feel good as a group. His eyes just simply light up when he gets that close to the bucket. And you just know what he's going to do with the basketball.
And Jack kicks to Lopez. Picked by Bargnani. And Lopez gets it to go.
Defensively, that possession better not start a trend because they just handed him 2 points.
Launches a three. And again, Los Angeles with the triple.
They're really struggling defensively, giving up too many easy buckets.
A great point. Really an embarrassing performance defensively, and the coaching staff can't be happy.
Now here is Jack. He had 16 points in the win against Utah.
And what I enjoyed when watching that game was the way he balanced getting his shot and also incorporating his teammates. And they've got to talk to each other on D there. Miscommunication, and now he's able to make a pay.
And the slam by Blake Griffin.
Taking it to the rack with power right there.
And hammering down with the two-handed slam.
Just piling on the lead with the dunk like that.
Paul against Jack. Picked by Bargnani. It's going to be 2 free throws. Drew contact on the shot.
And guys, looking at Jarrett Jack, one word comes to mind: professional. I mean, he's as solid as they come. Tough, capable, experienced, and he proved it all again last season.
Talking about Jarrett Jack, he is especially dangerous at the end of the game. Not only does he make great decisions, Clark, he was a top 10 free throw shooter last season.
Yeah, experienced, tough-minded ball handlers and shot makers are always valuable, especially when it's winning time.
Splitter is checked in for Bargnani. And what do you guys think so far about the offensive approach for the Clippers?
And so far, these guys have done a fantastic job finding the opening man and getting some easy baskets. Quick hands on the steal and then just mad hops on the slam.
Great sequence for them defensively and Clark offensively.
Well, one usually leads to the other, Kevin. That's just good, aggressive, attacking basketball at both ends.
And the highlight reel replay brought to you by Kia. Good stuff on that Kia Slam Cam. And he gets the bucket. And 12 points for Jay.
You couldn't have dreamed of a much better start here than they've had today.
I think the offensive game plan they came in with was right on point. It's worked perfectly, and the lead they already have is proof in the pudding.
Ellington dishes to Lopez. Offensive struggles continue, missing again. And even 3-on-3 break. Doris Burke had a chance to catch up with head coach Lionel Hollins. And Doris, what'd you find out?
He knows that the challenge for his team in this game will be to slow down Blake Griffin, who he described as instant momentum. With Griffin being such a handful physically, they plan to limit his ability to get any space around the basket and hopefully cut down those powerful drives toward the rim.
Thanks, Doris. Here's Navarro. Here's Paul. Pass to Navarro. It's a nice passing here by Los Angeles. Paul, no one around him. Brooklyn with the rebound.
That's not a sight you see very often. I mean, he has a great feel for that jump shot, especially when he's open.
Splitter with the ball. He's picked up by Jordan. And Jack, here we go. And it's Brooklyn scoring again.
It's like everybody is in a rhythm right now. Incredible stuff here early on.
Both teams playing downhill. You know, coaches say that all the time. You want to play downhill. Well, at some point you think somebody's got to cool off in this one, right?
Jordan the pass to Navarro. Johnson over to help. To the inside. Uses the glass to finish the layup. Paul's got 5.
They're finding lanes to the hoop now with consistency. 5 buckets in a row from the paint.
And on the flip side, Greg, the defenders have to show more fight on the interior. They've got to offer more resistance here.
If you look at Chris Paul, you're looking at a guy who really is the standard bearer of point guard. I mean, he can pass, he can score, he plays great defense. He also competes. But what makes him the floor general that all others are measured against, really the instincts and leadership.
Here's what Brooklyn's going with right now. Thomas Robinson, he's checked in for Lopez. Caspi comes in for Joe Johnson. Hollis Jefferson subbed in for Wayne Ellington.
I think that play sort of sums up what we've seen throughout, just simply being outplayed both sides of the ball. Smart basketball defensively turning into quick points.
And that can't continue. I mean, if they hope to get back in this game, I mean, it's really deflating from a morale standpoint. They need stops and points, not turnovers.
Going back to Chris Paul, if you could build a point guard from scratch, Clark, he might be the model.
Yeah, I tell you what, you could do much worse than him, that's for sure. One of the very best. 6 times he's led the NBA in steals. Just an incredible all-around player. One of the greatest team leaders, I think, in the history of the league as well.
For the last 2 seasons, he's led the league in assists. You're right.
Boy, he's just dangling from the rim after sending it through there.
You can see which team now has the swagger, Clark, right now.
Yeah, it's with them.
And, guys, that swagger can backfire because you don't want to get your opponent a little too riled up.
Here's Hollis Jefferson, and he floats in for the easy 2. Credit the assist on that one.
Man, can you always depend on him or what to lead you to the right place with that pass? Money.
That bucket in no time at all. 9 points for Clutch.
They've been hot here early, dropping them in left and right.
Rolling. We'll see how long they can keep it going.
And he gets the bucket. And that's 18 points for James.
And I like that they're not settling. Getting the ball on the interior, 8 of their last 10 coming that way.
Sometimes you just got to man up and take a tough foul in order to stop these free runs to the rim.
That's going to be over and back. Not watching for the line that time.
He's been all over the place and also out of control, just coughing up the ball, totally out of sync.
Yeah, it just needs to calm down and regain focus and get back control of handling the basketball. That's leadership. Really, really valuable to have someone who can just take charge like he has.
Well, there's a certain amount of confidence you have when the ball is in his hands at that end of the floor right now. I mean, he just gives you a sense of calm and confidence because of how good he is.
Not phased at all by having a bigger defender on him down low, and I really thought he would be.
You know, at first glance, you wouldn't think that he'd be comfortable in that particular situation, but boy, I tell you what, he didn't look like he was out of his element at all right there.
Splitter sets a screen. 7-second difference, shot and game clock. And Caspi kicks to Splitter. Shot by Jack, wide open, and it's Jack again missing. The pass to Navarro. And as the first quarter wraps up, already a double-digit lead. Clippers ahead, up by 16. We'll be back shortly live from Staples Center in downtown Los Angeles.